know I didn't speak to them. I did that once when I called the listeners, and told me he heard this. I said, "Right." I said, "I called time, remember, I called back to this. But I think I was opting up. If you don't need a time to call me, just so you know, go ahead, 5 minutes ago, we found the phone. Don't ever think you're not important. But you are important. As a person, as a lawyer, everybody is important. And so I want to make sure that all rich fall back to life very young. That you have, you can live here, that you can afford to live here, and it can be a good life for you, your children, your sisters, and your brothers. All right, so tonight I'm going to open up. I'm going to turn it over to John Lewis, who's sitting here. That's the man with the shining head there. I'm getting there, but I got a little way to go. So I do hope you thank you for coming out. And I hope anything you have to say that will help us, certainly will be appreciated. I want you to know this is freedom. That you, if you have something to say, certainly that will benefit us, or something that we can do as a daughter of this that will benefit you, that's what we're about. We want to make sure that we get something done. And just don't eat, but achieve something step by step. All right, turn the light out on it while we're gathering tonight this evening. Pray that our prayers are listened for our heart, and dear Lord, guide us, that we might be able, when we struggle, dear Lord, realize that it sets the victory in us, and that victory is the way. Help us, dear Lord. We need thy guidance, because the parents and men, and dear Lord, forces of people are great need, and it always struggles, sometimes hard to fight. We know that through you, we will have victory. So we gather tonight, giving thanks for all that you've done for each and every one of us. We praise your holy name. We thank you for our Savior, Christ Jesus, and for our Holy Spirit. We pray that this meeting will be a blessing to everyone here, and dear Lord, to be to thy people we pray. Now and forevermore. Amen. Dr. Blue, I'm sure I'm not.
Well, good evening, everybody. First of all, let me just give honor to the honor is due and honor to the great Reverend Dr. Charles Curtis. You are sitting this evening in the historic Mount Olivet Baptist Church. For those of you who do not know, this particular church has been at the forefront of leading so many movements throughout the years. It happens to be one of the oldest black congregations, continuous black congregations in the city. And so Dr. Curtis has been a tremendous champion for so many years on so many causes, and has served as the chairperson of the New York Interstate Commission for Housing Equality, which is sponsoring tonight's event. I'd also like to say this too, just by way of clarification. This is, it really started as a religious movement, as a religious moral movement, because we were concerned about what was happening in our community. And as you know, those of you who are students of history, you know quite well that it was the black church that really led in the civil rights movement. Over the years, some have questioned the validity of the church and its involvement in the validity of religious institutions, not just churches, but mosques and synagogues and other houses of worship. Have questioned the validity as to whether or not they're still vital. Well, I'm here to tell you tonight that no matter what happens, those of us who started this small group are committed to this thing, and we're going to fight for the right thing no more, right? Because right is right. This is not a political movement. This is a moral movement. This is about what is doing what is right because it is right. None of us in this room are getting paid to do this. We actually paid to do this. But we paid to do it because we must do it. There must be a voice for the voiceless, and somebody to stand up for those who cannot stand for themselves. And so we thank you very much for being here, for lending your expertise and your support to this great cause. At this moment, I'd like for the commissioners of this great interfaith commission to stand up, those who are here this evening. Of course, not everyone is here. And as they're standing up, I also say this as well. I say this is an interfaith commission. We don't care what your faith is. We don't care whether you are Christian or Muslim or Jewish or whatever, right? You can be Buddhist, you can be Hare Krishna. I don't care. You don't have to believe in God as long as you believe in right. Right? Right? As long as you believe in right, you're on the right side of history, right? So we have here various ones who are standing here. This is Licorice, the recording secretary. By the way, her husband was one of the leading pastors in Harlem and a great civil rights leader. Tariq Shaheed, he's from Malcolm Shabazz mosque, which is right up the street here, which is a historic mosque founded by the great Malcolm X, right? Don Cogsville, former chairperson of the Harlem Urban Development Corporation, also our brainchild in so many ways, right? Providing us with the necessary information for us to understand the mechanics of urban development and urban planning. Okay? We have what's that? Will Gordon is a strategic marketer. He understands strategy marketing and street marketing. He's done a great deal to help us. We have right here Nate French. Nate French is a community organizer and has been instrumental in helping us to think about formulating an organization. Ed, over here, Ed is our resident researcher. If there's anything you want to know about anything in the city, just ask Ed. If he doesn't know, Ed will find it for you. Right. And a lot of the history that we will be presenting this evening, Ed actually helped us with because he's such an excellent researcher. And then the young man sitting down here holding the phone is Kai Cogsville. Kai Cogsville is the developer of much of our media and public relations information. And so tonight, we are going to be viewing a couple of important videos that will sort of set things in context for us. But before we go to the videos, let me just say this. We do not intend to keep you all night tonight. We don't. But the reason why this meeting was so critically important is because something that is upcoming. Those of you who may have been here before, we have made certain demands of Columbia University, that Columbia University sit down and meet with the Interfaith Commission. We sent Columbia University a letter way back in February asking for such a meeting, and they ignored it. They acted like it didn't exist. When we had conversations with them about the letter concerning the development of Harlem, the encroachment of Columbia University into Harlem, the taking of 200,000 square feet of land per year, and what Columbia has done to actively participate in the displacement of people in collusion with New York State. We wrote them a letter asking for some feedback. They act like they never received that. Finally, when Congressman Charles Rangel, former Congressman Charles Rangel got involved and others, Columbia finally agreed to sit down and meet with us to answer our demands. Now, since they agreed to do that, they're dragging their heels in terms of actually setting the date. Can I be honest with you? I don't know how to do anything else but honest. I'm not talking about, I want to be honest with you. I'm insulted. I'm not insulted for me. I'm insulted for the community. I'm insulted because the religious leaders of this community asked Columbia University to sit down and to talk about the issues of displacement. What you will see tonight, when you get these short videos, you just catch a glimpse of what's going on. And for them to ignore the community is an outrage. It's an outrage. I don't care who, you can talk about me like a dog, talk about anything you want to talk about, but don't mess with the people who can't fight you. They got billions of dollars on their side. All we got is a few good church folk who know Jesus and the pardon of our sins and know the Lord, whatever that Lord may be. That's all we got. They've got billions. We said, sit down. They agreed to sit down, and now they act like they're reneging on the deal. We will not let them renege on the deal. Like Kamala Harris, we ain't going back. Amen. Yeah, come on, give me that hand. We're not going anywhere either, right? We're not going anywhere, right? some of you know Charlton Heston, right? He was advocating for guns, right? He was at the head of NRA. He said, "You gonna get this done out of our cold dead hands." Well, you gonna get Harlem out of our cold dead hands, right? That's how I'm gonna frame this thing, right? We're gonna be honest. So at this time, Mr. Cogswell, young Mr. Cogswell, would you be so kind as to share with us these giftings? And then he's going to share with us a schedule that we are going to put out in terms of an ongoing schedule to put out information to the community on a regular basis via the various internet channels.
Community must understand Columbia University's role in displacement, and most importantly, demands we must organize around to implement change. Here is a chronology of actions taken by Columbia University against the residents, businesses, and institutions of Harlem and Uptown. In 1945, Columbia University intentionally hoarded property surrounding the university to keep out Black and Black residents. In 1947, Columbia persuaded 12 religious and educational institutions to create Morningside Heights Incorporated to formally implement their discrimination. In 1950, Morningside Heights Incorporated partnered with Robert Moses to develop the Grant Houses and Morningside Gardens as a racist buffer between the communities. In 1968, Columbia proposed the development of a Morningside Park gym with a back door for Blacks. The student body, community members, and the group core successfully protested, stopping the plan of Jim Crow. In 2008, the Empire State Development Corporation approved Columbia's expansion plan, allowing the university to use eminent domain as a tool to confiscate 200,000 square feet of land per year for 25 years from Uptown. In 2009, the university built 9 new developments while simultaneously gobbling up the 125th Street Pier. The university is devouring about 400,000 square feet of land per year from Harlem and Washington Heights. In 2021, community leaders from the Interfaith Commission met with members of the university. Representatives from Columbia explained that the school had no development interest in Fairway properties. Less than a year later, in 2022, Columbia purchased the Fairway properties for $84 million, endangering the development of Harlem on the Hudson with a connecting entertainment ferry to Dyke, which is an essential uptown housing and economic generator for local residents and businesses, many that are currently being priced out. A study conducted by the Community Service Society indicates between 2010 and 2020, the Black population in West Harlem's District 9 declined by 14%, and the Latino population declined by 10%. Additionally, households earning under $50,000 a year fell by 10%, while those with incomes above $200,000 a year doubled to 19%.
Our politicians really need to fight for non-gentrification so that residents born and raised here, such as myself, are able to afford to stay in Harlem. The Harlem life
supports tutoring.
You have other videos, sir. Before we get to that video, you do have a copy of the chronology in the document that was given to you upon your entrance. There's something that you must understand. I want everybody to understand this, right? The Community Services Society, who did that study on the decline of the population in Harlem, is the oldest and most respected community development agency in the nation. Right? They conducted that study for us free of charge. And I want you to understand too, when they talk about the decrease in the numbers of blacks and Hispanics, I want you to be clear about where we are as an integrated commission. We are not against anybody based upon the color of their skin. What we're saying, however, is this, that you have some historic communities that have existed for a long time, that have developed a vital culture, and those cultures, particularly in Harlem and in Upper Manhattan, we have these strong Dominican populations, have developed this culture. They have been attractive to the world and has made a significant contribution to the world. And all we're saying is that the folks who stayed here for all those years and built their homes and built their families and built their businesses ought to have an opportunity to also participate in the economic development and the boom that's taking place inside the city of New York. So that's what it's about. It's about economic justice, right? As well as preservation of our culture, while simultaneously welcoming and including all persons. We don't want the historic population to be excluded, right? Instead, we want everybody to be included, including the historic population. Is that clear? All right. So let's take a look just for a moment here at this chronology. We'd like to sort of walk you through this kind of briefly. And of course, I have a couple of great minds here that really assist us with this. I know they don't like to talk, but I just wish that Don Carter would walk us through this, since he's living history.
Hi, would you come?
Come on, come on.
I got it.
You can't see it? What? Playing senior citizenship now?
He has it memorized.
You see in your list, there are 10 verses, and it starts in 1947. In 1947, the President of Columbia, Mary Butler, proposed that they buy all the land they possibly can to keep African Americans and Latinos from moving near the university in Morningside. That was the first thought. Now, right today, it's the other way around. Now they're trying to buy the land from us. But in those days, they were trying to keep us away. Now, Mary Butler, to kind of emphasize and provide more credibility to that position, organized 12 institutions to create the Morningside Heights Incorporated to do basically the same thing. Give me some of them.
Yeah, some of the names of those 12 institutions is the Jewish Seminary, Juilliard School, Columbia University,
Riverside Church,
Church,
St. John Divine,
St. John Divine,
Manhattan School of Music.
Manhattan School of Music. These are all well-renowned institutions that actually came together to make a pact and an agreement that they would keep the residents of Harlem away from the university, so they decided to create a buffer zone.
Now, that happened until around 1990. And that was in 1990. Actually, before that, in 1960, there was a fair that used to stop at 125th Street.
That ferry went all the way around Manhattan and other places. But it stopped functioning. When it stopped functioning, the whole area started to decline. You might remember in that area was also meat packers. And the meat packing business was starting to shift. So the area was kind of a little bit seedy, if that's the right word. It was really going down. HEDC, Harlem Urban Development Corporation, which I had, was created in 1970. In the late 1980s, HEDC proposed the redevelopment of that area, and the main project was called Harlem on the Hudson. Harlem on the Hudson was really a development to create jobs, business opportunities, and housing by using that waterfront. And we developed a relationship with the meat packers to borrow that land up under the viaduct. Right on 12th Avenue was a beautiful, gorgeous viaduct. But under that viaduct, what we proposed was to put glass down, have an enclosed mall, and housing would be up on top. Now, Columbia in those days had been there. This is 1980. They had been there since 100 years. But after that, the ferry closed. They said nothing about that area. When we proposed it, then all of a sudden there was a lot of interest. In fact, what we did was marketed the area. Now, in the late 1990s, after we had worked out an agreement with the meat packers to purchase their land, a guy named George Packard was elected governor. And the first thing he did was to close HEDC. That killed that project at that time. And based on that, then Columbia came down over the hill into that area and started dropping off a lot of that. Now, that's basically where we are. We're at a point where Columbia has purchased what everybody has probably gone to the Fairway properties. Well, they purchased the Fairway property, which was primarily to us developing Harlem on the Hudson. Now, one other thing happened. In 2008, the Empire State Development Corporation, after HED is closed, and we promoted that area, Columbia contacted them to create the Columbia University Education Mixed-Use Program. You know about that. How do you describe it?
You're on a roll.
What, that project, they supported, this is state agency, supported the acquisition by Columbia of 200,000 square feet of land per year for 25 years. Now, just think about it. One block per year, Columbia is taking for their own purposes. Now, it was confined to the pier area, that's 125th Street to 135th and Broadway. So what you see here was based on this legislation. You see these tall buildings going on. And the legislation was passed to support that. What they didn't say is 165th Street, what has been happening there, is the same type of acquisition, about 200,000 square feet. I think in the document, they have some of the names of the buildings. 200,000 square feet up there have been being developed. Now, so what you have is 125th Street, 165th Street, where Columbia Presbyterian, the new campus, and they're trying to move towards each other. So between those two areas, 125th, 165th, is the expansion of the campus. In between that is thousands and thousands of our people, institutions, and schools, etc. So that's what our battle is about, basically. And that's what we need everybody in this room to come together and say, hey, there's another way of doing this. Let me tell you what the other way. Negative. The competition, what they're after, one example is a range of various institutions. What's the name of the
NIH, and NSF.
What is that?
National Science Foundation.
Yeah. Fundraising.
Those institutions will pay an enormous amount of money to develop the kind of buildings they need to understand, undertake various development.
Yep.
Okay. They will pay so much money to Columbia doesn't have to charge a tuition. Now, but Columbia is in competition with other Ivy League institutions. Penn, University of Pennsylvania, Harvard,
Yale.
all those schools, I think Stanford, all of them are in competition. So what these other institutions did, instead of gobbling up the land and putting people out, they built satellite camps away from the neighborhood. What Columbia has decided to do is gobble up the land where we live. That's it. That's what we're saying. So that's what we need to do to help us out. To deal with this so that we're not doing it.
All right.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. I think it's important to make a few points. Number one, we have to understand the origin. Mayor Bloomberg, he rezoned 40% of the New York City. The rezoning created a situation where they did rebuild and build what we call market rate housing. What happened was that was what's known as now in 57 called billionaires zone. So those people who were paying $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month, once the billionaire zone was created, they can no longer live over here. So what would they do? They eradicate the income. Because $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 is not a lot for us. It's devastating. So we have to understand what happens in this case is that people take your identity. For example, let's look at this Schomburg building on 110th Street. It used to be called Schomburg, named after one of our folks. Now it's called the Heritage House. The question is, whose heritage? What's being replaced? And look at some of the things that's happened over the last few years. First of all, you have to know we started out, and we're really proud of what we've been able to do because, as Pastor Bruce said, we not only did we paid into it, we paid dues just to be together. So we could be at work every single Wednesday for like the last 14, 15 years. One of the things we came out, we did a protest. And we came out, we had a brochure. It's a very powerful brochure. I think Tyler's even put it in one of the films. And the brochure asks a very simple question. Did you know you were moving? Because the average person didn't have the faintest idea that they would be moving. Now, I'm going to fast forward a little bit, because we have several projects right now that are facing us as people. We have Lennox Terrace and 145, that's on the corner of 145th Street and South. They're trying to develop those properties right now. And if they develop those properties, we're almost done. Because they represent about 1,800 market-rate apartments. And those apartments will be for market rate. You know, 1,800 apartments, you expect probably about 3,500 people, maybe more. Now, politically speaking, that means the politics will change. You don't have ownership, you will be placed out, or you will be walking in Harlem because they want the culture, they still want us here. That's the comment. They want the culture, they don't want us. And so what happened is, and another point of Columbia, if I may. Columbia hasn't paid any taxes. They have something called pay in lieu of taxes. They don't pay taxes. They use their tax. They use money. They got money from the people. So that's our money that is given for small businesses, poor people in the community to develop small businesses. They got money for that to buy, so that we were paying for our own demise. So, you know, this is a very serious situation, brothers and sisters. That's why the New York Debate Commission, a coalition of housing law is very important for us to be established so that we fight. This is why Senator Cordell Taylor, wonderful worker, dedicated to Harlem, lived in Harlem, loves Harlem. You know, she was together with me and myself and some other assemblymen, and she said, we were so divided, we should come up with a concept. And she said, let us start saying one heart. Because we're so divided amongst ourselves that we don't even think one heart. We think East Harlem, West Harlem, South Harlem, but we just one heart, wherever you are, just one heart. The idea is so important for us to have because you need a force of people coming after Columbia University on several fronts so that they always understand that we will not be, here's what we said today, we will not be zoned out. We will not, you know, I say this every time I really mean it, and I don't know how much people think it's serious. I say, not only can we not afford to live here, I know people who can't afford to move. You understand that? Can you imagine somebody coming to you, you can't afford to move, putting you out, but you can't move? Now, my last point, there's something called construction trust, and I want you to understand. It means based on what they built in their community, they took your birthrights. So our children that lost their birthrights, so they're not going to be able to afford you. They're not going to be able to live in the neighborhood. We tell our students, tell our children, go to college. My daughter goes to GW. Go to college, get an education, come back home. But she won't be able to afford to come back home once she gets her education. That's what you call criminal. What Columbia has done is criminal. Listen, what they gave $200 million to a community, but they had to build billions and billions of dollars. They had to be good neighbors. They had to be partners. You know, there's an old expression in business: if you're doing well, do good by the community. If you are doing well as a business person, do good by the community. They've ignored us. They're hearing us now. You know, they're reaching out to get an interim president, so they're waiting. But we need to be very clear about our spirit for this. This is not an easy fight, it's a long fight. But let me tell you where we're going to win this at. We're going to win this in the political arena, the public arena. See, there's a public court. There's a court of public opinion. And once we keep moving, you people tell people, and we begin to spread public opinion, of course, but put the light on, you know. Critics start running, chase around, and people like that. Brothers and sisters, let us be very serious. Let us not take this. Let us not be people like say Alka-Seltzer mentality. You ever see Alka-Seltzer? You put it in the basket, and then 2 seconds later, nothing happened. I call it the Alka-Seltzer mentality. Let's not have that. Thank you very much.
Now that you've heard this, there's one other point we want to make before we open this up for general discussion. Number 4 on this agenda is workforce housing. For a long time, we've talked about affordable housing. We do not use that term affordable housing because what does that mean? Affordable, right? So we use instead the term workforce housing. We think that if somebody is earning minimum wage, they have a right to decent housing just like somebody who earns $1 million. Isn't that right? And so our position is, not has been, it is, that for every development that goes up, we're not looking for 20%. to be set aside for so-called affordable housing. And in the minds of the developers, affordable means they start at $86,000. How many of you heard $86,000? Anybody know? Well, I'm not so okay.
All right.
This is what it is, right?
I ain't rubbing it in. I don't like that.
But most of us don't earn that type of money to say that we can afford even the affordability. So we say from here on, our position is, because other people take other positions, our anchor position is, we want affordable for the least.
Yeah.
We want affordable for city workers. So at our upper level income is $90,000, because that's what an upper level city worker would earn. Doesn't make sense that somebody who patrols the streets and puts out fires and teaches in your school cannot afford to live in your city. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for politicians to support that. And so I don't care, and they have always said that stuff. You don't understand that the developers can't make any money if they make it more affordable. But that's the developers' problem. That's their problem. Between the city and the state and the federal government, there must be some new legislation, some new focus to make sure that the people who are keeping this city running can stay here. As a matter of fact, if you think about it just for a moment, just think about it for a minute, right? If they have what they want, there won't be anybody in to sweep the streets. If they have what they want, there won't be nobody in the ride in the babies in the little cabin down the street. If they have what they want, there won't be anybody here to make their burgers. In other words, the people who are necessary and vital for the economic stability and growth of a city will no longer exist. The billionaires might have to take out their own trash. Somebody like that said, oh. So, that's what this housing proposal is. Right now, the state has a piece of property. There's the former Lincoln Correctional Facility that sits right on the edge of Central Park. They control that. We are making petitions to the state to stay, make it truly affordable based upon workforce housing. Now, having said that, we'd like to hear from you. If you have any questions, concerns, things that you'd like to share with us before we move to some action items that we have here that we want to share with you. But yes, if you would be so kind, if you could stand up, I don't know who you have a role tonight, if
Hi y'all, my name is Adriana. I'm born and raised in East Harlem.
Get here. Mike, I give him a mic.
come up front. This mic is attached.
One up there.
He's right now, this.
Hi y'all, how we doing? My name is Debriana. I have lived in East Harlem my whole life. I was born and raised there. It is essential to who I am, and it is a place that I want to see flourish in the future. I do have concerns, mostly about the workforce housing minimum annual income, because I see right here that 25% of the units are going to be going toward that. But I know for a fact that our community is not making $57,000, and that's 50% of the units that are going to be going to that. They come. No, but seriously, it does concern me because not even teachers make that much in this state, which is crazy. $30 for teachers, you know, like $42K. Insane. So when we talk about minimum annual income, it does concern me because it's like we have to be thinking about the community that's over here. In East Harlem, and for a fact that the average income is 30K. It's around there. And that's an entire community. We took it 125th down to 96th Street. All of that. That's the average amount.
Well, that's you raised a very good, let me tell you how you sort of around at least bigger numbers, right? The median income for our right now is around 57,000. And you know, one of the challenges that exists right now is there's a whole slew of people who cannot afford to live. So when you start affordability at about 83 to 86,000 a year, then everybody under that doesn't qualify. And so one of the challenges is in terms of creating stable communities, you have to be able to take care of the least, you have to take care of those in the middle, and then you have to take care of those at that other venues. Now, I'm an old man, right? You didn't have to say this. I saw you. She was not very I am a senior citizen many years old, okay? But listen, I remember when I was growing up, living in a community where there were the poorest of the poor, and there were black doctors, and black lawyers, and black teachers, and we all lived together, and the means of was the fact that we had mixed income communities. And none of us were rich, but we all shared the community together. Those who had the education could inspire those who did not have the education. My grandfather never learned how to read and write. He was a dirt farmer. He never learned how to read and write. He could only write his name. But I was a black man with 4 degrees. I got 4 degrees because there were people who were around me who shared my we're just saying, here's a starting point out of which we can at least begin to draw a line and say, whatever you don't go past this line. That was the thinking about it. But listen, you know, I appreciate your bravery for coming up here, man, and asking that question.
Robert Jackson.
Senator Robert Jackson was there. Senator Inez Dickens was there with us.
Mark Levine.
The Borough Council President Mark Levine was there with us. Right? Everyone else is clear. So we're going to try our best to include them. But you know what? And I appreciate every single last one of them for standing with us. But you know, politicians are also moved by the people, right? So when they see the people are moving, the politicians will stand with them. So that was very insightful, and I vote for you right after Kamala becomes president. Yes, I saw go ahead, and then go ahead and get in the back. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Percy Mitchell, and I lived in New York for about It will be 10 years in March. I moved here from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where I did not graduate from the University of Alabama. Basically, I've paid, because no one co-signed for me to move to New York, I've paid $186,000 in rent, subletting until I finally, during the pandemic, rent went down, and there was an apartment in Harlem at 120th and 5th Avenue that was affordable to me at the time. It was $1,700. So my partner and I moved from Bed-Stuy. After living in Bushwick, Jamaica, Queens, I've lived in, 15 different locations in the city. So I've sublet everywhere until I got to Harlem and Manhattan. The rent increased by $300 immediately after the pandemic. My building right now currently does not have hot water. Since I moved into the building, our realty company, Pinnacle Realty, has not been able to prove whether we have an operational boiler in this building.
Shame.
We have so many residents that are over the age of 70 years old. This is they keep saying it's a pre-colonial building, that they will not replace the pipes or the gas lines or the boiler on. We are at the intersection of, with every community, there are businesses, there are institutions of education, and then there are several institutions of religions that make up every community. Right now, when you refer to the doctor and those that were very poor and those somewhere in the middle that used to live in the same community, used to all work together. I don't feel like I've been shuffled from one neighborhood to the next to New York, just like I didn't feel shuffled from Florence, Alabama to Birmingham, Alabama to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to Montgomery. I lived in 38 places in my life, and I was born in Tokyo because my parents were also in the military. This is a world issue that we cannot find community anywhere because there is a wheel turning like a clock for profit. But here's what the wheel cannot stop. Or here's what will stop the wheel. There are some students from Columbia here, I believe. Are there any students here? Wonderful, wonderful. My college is great. The faculty students are very important. The University of Alabama has the largest Greek system of any college in the world. We also have the largest Starbucks of any college in the world. It was also the training camp for the Confederate Army for our Civil War. The Union Army, for a little bit of history, marched all the way down to Tuscaloosa to burn my university to the ground, until it was rebuilt by conservatives who, when it comes to eminent domain, purchased most of the city. The Greek organizations at my college basically run all politics in the city of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And they are called The Machine. I believe an HBO documentary was made about my college, and when it comes to the politics of this. As a community, we must stand together because the students recognize that if Columbia doesn't respond to your meeting, I believe that the students, the teachers, and the staff that were sequestered within that campus and that were treated the way they were treated, you all will never forget this past year, I'm sure. I saw it on the news because, when I walked over there to try to give you all love as a resident of the community, we were not allowed to go as residents of Harlem to give you all love. So where we are now, I do believe I've launched a production company and I'm seeking to direct James Baldwin's Blues for Mr. Charlie, which James Baldwin was born and raised in Harlem until he left America to go to Europe. I'm seeking with this play for us to organize as a community, and like I said, business, education, and religion, to really talk about more. There's action, but there's also a recourse and a pathway towards action. All right, thank you.
That's quite the journey. I spent 16 years of my life in Alabama. I have to say, yes. All the way in the back down there, there's this young man, and there's you.
There's some people over here.
Oh, over here too.
Good evening, everyone. I too live in the South. I live in the country. San Diego, California.
Yes. Can you use the other mic? I'm gonna be real. That one's better.
Hello. I'm Sheena. I'm a resident. My first experience in Harlem was as a young girl in history class, reading about the Harlem Renaissance. We wrote reading about the Renaissance, and whatever the key places in America where blacks were allowed to be great before the civil rights. I was also raised in Atlanta, having the privilege of being raised around a King family. The legacy of civil rights is in my blood. I moved here because it is one of the few places where historically black people can be great, create art, be activists legally. There is so much gerrymandering that has gone on in our country. Harlem was robbed of $1.2 billion to create a monstrosity of Hudson Yards. Legal means have been used to justify weaponization against our people from the beginning. Redlining is an issue in this country that persists to this day. I know that we all believe America is still a democracy, but we are living proof that it is not. So I just implore everyone here and in Harlem to perhaps seek the legal means of suing New York State for the, but it really we have to fight legally and claim what is ours. It's injustice. It needs to be taken to the highest court. So I'm just happy to be here tonight. I'm happy to represent. I have a son that is on the spectrum, high functioning, young black boy. He's at risk to fall to criminality. I work with a nonprofit that is seeking to bring engineering and STEM to young black children, disadvantaged children in Harlem. If anybody is interested in that, I'm here tonight representing. We are offering free classes and scholarships to children who are at risk because, like you said, these children are not going to be able to come back to their communities after they go to college. Over 30% of Harlem lives below the poverty line, that is below the citywide average. The facts are not in our favor, but there are things that are being done in our community, and I just want to highlight those things. And look at all of your beautiful spaces and let you know that we are not alone in this fight as a community battle. And whatever needs we can do, I know it can be done. So I just wanted to provide some hope tonight and let everybody know that the world is watching us. They always will. And it's on us to inspire the rest of this country.
And I'm going this way, this way, this way, and then this way. Sure. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. We got tag team.
My name is Chris. First of all, thank you for being here. I think without action, people show up. And this actually never happens. So thank you for being here. This topic, appreciate that. My name is Chris. I founded a creative studio called Peace. I'm actually from the Bronx, but I almost got most of my life. High school together, and I used to go to his neighborhood, but I used to go to his and I don't think I'm going to be able to him without having a conversation. I live in Harlem for almost 20 years at this point, and I've heard a lot tonight about a lot of top-down questions politically, and I'm thinking that needs to be coupled a lot with some bottoms up, right? Talking about influencing the public, culture, community, arts, and that's what we're out to do. So we released a project, I cannot say the name of it properly, it's the last, something of the waves, but it really aims to talk about education and Harlem, and so we're fighting against that. So I'll pass it to my brother, since actually the hero is closer.
I'd just like to implore all of us as we're speaking tonight, right? We want to make sure that we can make sure we stay on point and stay focused on what we're doing, right? And so I'm interested to hear what you have to say, and just as long as y'all keep it clean.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Timothy Messon. I was born and raised in Harlem. I was born in Harlem Hospital. I'm from the Lincoln Projects. I don't know if you know what that is. Yeah, state of Lincoln. That's where I'm from. I have been in education for almost 2 decades now. I've taught in Harlem, taught in the Bronx. I've taught downtown in Manhattan. And this section of New York City to begin with. Some of you might be familiar with the origins of Central Park and how there was a community there, Seneca Village, that was displaced for just the pleasures of the greater city. When the Harlem Renaissance happened, right? Many people were fascinated with what was going on with the culture, and they decided to come up here, right? And that ended up displacing people who were already living here. You had said earlier that many of them want the culture, but don't want the people who are responsible for it. And the project that I wrote in conjunction with Atomic Peace is basically about the magic that is, prevalent in Harlem, that is, a part of the fabric of Harlem, and how gentrification and capitalism, the malevolent parts of capitalism have, come here and just wrecked our home, just completely wrecked our home. I just want to implore everybody here, to keep up the good fight in whatever medium it is that you're doing it. For myself and my constituent, it's the project that we wrote. We also do community service projects as well. For the last 4 years, every Thanksgiving, I have fed the homeless in Harlem. Last year, actually, we were right by the Adam Clayton Powell building on 7th Avenue and 125th Street. We fed about 200 people that day. So, I'm here, I'm not doing anything. You are my family out here, and I know that's why all of y'all are here, so let's just keep fighting however we can. Thank you, sir. So currently we have a case on campaign. If you want any further information, you can check in with my constituent and myself. You can also check the Atomic Peace website.
Thank you so very much. And then we're going to move on to a couple of action items.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. My name is Adam, and I'm part of the Upper Manhattan Tenants Union. I'm here with my friend and comrade Stephanie, and who's also part of the Upper Manhattan Tenants Union. Stephanie, introduce yourself. Stephanie is a lifelong resident of Washington Heights, and I moved to the city about 15 years ago. I live up in Inwood, 407 Broadway. I was actually a student at Columbia from about 2010 to 2020, and I was involved in organizing the graduate student workers union there, fighting in Columbia just for better wages, healthcare, and against workplace harassment. They lied to our faces regularly. They evicted me and my family from our home. We lived in Columbia housing. They evicted us at the beginning of the pandemic. And at that point, I moved up to Inwood, and little did we know, but we moved into a building owned by the second biggest landlord in Upper Manhattan, first being, of course, Columbia, which is a hedge fund campus, more of a financial institution than a real educational institution, and that's putting it nicely. And the landlord of the home where me and my family live now is Sugar Hill Capital Partners, is also the landlord of Stephanie's home, and like I said, they're the second biggest landowner north of 110th. They were named the #1 worst landlord in 2021. Sugar Hill Capital Partners were, and they were number 6 the year after that, so they're better. #1 for, not because they're good, but because they're they're the best at evictions, they're the best at not providing repairs, they're the best at getting violations issued to their buildings. And Stephanie and I have been going up against them independently for several years, but we recognized a few years ago that we were going up against something bigger than ourselves. We made a lot of progress organizing with our neighbors in our buildings and on our blocks and trying to prepare us to stop them from being evicted, stop them from raising rents, but realizing that this is a big private equity firm that we were going up against, just like Columbia is. And so what we did a couple years ago is we connected across a few dozen different buildings owned by Sugar Hill Capital Partners from Harlem to Inwood, and we went to everyone and our mission was to help each other to organize tenant associations, because we know that that's what we need in order to stop them from evicting us, stop them from harassing us, to stop the disrepair, and to stop the rising rents. So, a couple years ago we formed, we called it Tri-Hill Tenants Coalition, because that was the name of the management company, and they hide behind all these different LLCs. But Sugar Hill Capital Partners is the owner, and they've got all kinds of schemes to try and push people out of Harlem. But really simple, our mission is to support, empower tenants across Upper Manhattan to talk with their neighbors, to figure out what it is they want the landlord to do, what it is they want them to not do, and to build power in their buildings and on their blocks to get that, to get them to do what they need them to do, to stop them from what they need them to stop doing. And so to that end, we're not only trying to build power in our buildings and on our blocks, but to continue that strategy of connecting across the portfolio of this landlord, but also other landlords too, like Columbia. So next month, October 24th, I think it is, Thursday, October 24th, we're going to have a training, a tenant organizing 101 workshop, essentially, on how to form a tenant association. We have a flyer here, and I can put it there on the table, so if you can pick it up. Yeah, also just talk to us if you got time.
One thing we want to do with all this energy here, if you have organizations or associations, let us know so we can work together to collaborate around some critical issues that we need to support. I'm going to you, my sister, and then you, my sister, then there's a student from Columbia, and let's try to keep our speeches on.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Can y'all hear me? Yeah. No, use the mic. Oh, yeah, use the Use the mic. Use the mic. Yeah.
So I am a survivor of housing insecurity. I grew up in Rockaway, had to move to Brooklyn, got evicted from there first time, went to college, came back, moved to Harlem, love Harlem, spent a lot of time uptown, so I feel like this is like my second home at this point. I have a question and then a comment, so I'll keep it short. My comment is, a lot of this is only enabled by the politicians that will either do or don't hold accountable. Next year, I haven't started.
Yup.
So we have to do what's possible to make sure those two people got to go, so that we don't have to have this conversation repeating. And then on top of that, it's not just those big, shoppers, it's the local folks as well. We have to keep them accountable. If they're 2-year positions, I don't know if they should be 2 years, then they gotta go. You have to be involved in politics. It's the money in politics, power. Those are the two things that keep this going. So let's just keep having conversations. Let's keep talking to the people. Let's keep talking to the young people. Because the young people don't want to go with no, you got to go with the long story. My question now is, a lot of times we talk about justification, but we don't talk about revitalizing rent stabilization. So a lot of rent stabilization is underneath new developments, but what if I live in a building where it should be rent stabilized, but it's not? Or in my building, where there's low housing income, or there's low income housing, but it's hard for me to get into that housing development. So we have to be innovative and think about ways that we can find different programs that's going to be reaching more and greater neighborhoods, that's also complementing some of this workforce income levels that we have as well. So I just want to know, what are we doing to have those conversations?
Right now, we're depending upon landlords, we're depending upon developers out of the kindness and the goodness of their heart. Wait a minute now. Last time I thought I paid taxes to New York State. Why is it that New York State can't operate a development agency to create housing? And so one of the things that Vice President Harris is talking about as well is reinstituting again, getting the government more involved as well in community affordability. So that's going to be the key going forward in the future. And if you want more information on what Senator Clear is doing and the legislation that she has proposed in this regard, then contact her office. I'm sure she can give you some more insight into that. That's a good question. Thank you.
I just want to say something briefly. I'm not going to use the mic. I'm actually here representing Senator Clear. I'm her housing specialist. Dedicated to doing what needs to be done to work with you and contact our office. We definitely need, Harlem has a brain drain just like most communities. So once all the graduates and students leave, all of that technical expertise, the engineers, the lawyers, the doctors, are not accessible. And we think we all can help, okay? So, computer guys or whatever, we want to start something, let us know. We'll figure out how to get the technical expertise back into the community so you can help us fight this fight.
By the way, that's Bobby Willis, y'all. I know him very well for many years, and he's a housing specialist. He really is a housing specialist, done house development housing all over, and knows what it is we need. And if you need to talk to him, you should. And he's now working for the senator.
Hi, my name is Katrina, and I've been in Harlem for 25 years. And I have a question more than a comment. One is just about the politics, because I used to sit on the board of the Historic Districts Council, and we were always fighting against Redding, so the Real Estate Board of New York, right? So they are a very powerful lobbying group. The reason that a lot of the upzoning that supports gentrification and all of this non-affordable housing, the tax breaks that go along with it is because they have a very wealthy and very strong lobby. So my question is about influencing the state, like how do we, as people who live here and work here, lobby the state in a way that actually makes sense, like because they use money and power and tax breaks in order to get these sort of affordable housing deals that none of us can afford to live in. So I'm just wondering, even as this interfaith communities come together and other organizations and other tenant associations and things that have been apart, like what do we do to compete with these really powerfully financed lobbying institutions? Because politicians listen to money. And if we don't have it, how do we actually make a difference to get the legislation passed?
That's a great question. Is yours votes?
No.
No, they listen to money.
No, let me tell you something. Like, don't discount the power that this community has now. Next year, Governor Hope needs to be reelected. She wants to be reelected. In the process of her wanting to be reelected, she has to support somebody. She has to support somebody. She came up to Harlem, stands outside in front of the subway station, shakes hands at 135th Street, and then disappears. Why is that? Because she can't. She wouldn't do that in Williamsburg. She would never get away with it. That's why when we talk about one Harlem, if people stand together, people can make a difference. Now, I'll just say this, right? Maybe you don't have the biggest crowd. Maybe you don't have a lot, maybe you don't have the most money. And money talks. But I'm gonna tell you what people can do when we stand together. What this organization did, this organization stood together. Down on Lennox Terrace, the only corporation
had a plan to do $1 billion development there, to put towers there, to knock down everything around it, to displace the people that were in there. That was their plan. And they almost got away with it. You know what stopped them? This organization getting together with the tenants over there. We went down there, we protested, we went to City Hall, and with the help of our city council person at the time, the late great Bill Perkins, may God rest his name in peace, right? We stopped the $1 billion development. Don't tell me what can't be done. I believe that if we stand together and work together, we can make a difference. When I think about the civil rights movement, we talk about Martin Luther King, and all these folks. There was a handful of people. Let's be honest. There was a handful of people that made that difference. We're all the beneficiaries of it now. But it was a handful of people. Right? We might need to go, my sister, down to Albany, get on the bus, get our buses and go to Albany and camp out on the doorstep. We might need to do what the students at Columbia University did. Put up tents and say, I will not be moved. We might need to take some drastic action to get at drastic results. But if that's what it takes to keep a grandmother from being put out on the street, and if that's what it takes for a single mother to have an opportunity to have a place to safely raise a child, then it's time for that type of action. Right?
But are we against the possibility of creating some kind of, and I mean this so seriously, I'm willing to contribute today. Yes. We need some kind of political action committee where if we're all giving $25 to Kamala Harris, then we're all giving $25 to this particular action so that we can actually move in the same way, in the same energy, with the same kind of economic and financial power, in addition to our community and political will to make these politicians and these developers listen to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes. We need money.
So where do the donations for each of the religious institutions in this neighborhood go? We have Columbia and our governor to blame, but we also have churches taking up millions of dollars here worldwide. And where is the outpouring if you were not involved in the faith-based institutions? We cannot put the light on the government and not put the light on the churches that don't do anything for the neighborhoods unless you attend the churches.
Well, sir.
Please, I really.
Sir, listen, I appreciate that. And of course, there are some churches that are not doing anything.
No, it's a global. The truth is upon us when it comes to world government and citizens and those that know how much money is being taken in and what's not being done in the streets. It's a large issue.
Whose church we're in tonight. I'm thankful for the other church people who are here tonight, right? Who are participating and doing what we can. Who, by the way, who on the front lines of battle every day.
Yep.
Every day. There has to be an elevation of it because we're in crisis now.
Huh?
Brothers, let me make a point here. Because I appreciate anybody who stood up as some organization and worked to do something. But let me help you. We invited you here for a particular reason. We have spent 15 years trying to get to a point where we can get this tiger by the tail. We now have him by the tail. He doesn't want the worldwide embarrassment, and we have him right. And we're inviting you here. If you have an organization or something that you've done all the people's folk, please, when you sign with Kai, let him know that so when you meet with us, we can see how we can best help you, because it can be symbiotic. But this meeting is designed for you to come in and say, what can I do to help you all pull this tiger in so we can stop this right now, right now. I don't know another organization that has what we have right now. They're on the run. They have other situations between the Palestinian situation that's going on. They have that situation. They have a new interim. They have an investigation. We have the tiger by the tail. Let us not let it go because somebody got some idea that they think. We can't change it. We're in moves. We've been doing it for 15 years every single week. For 15 years. Don't get caught, don't get distracted. You have an organization, you got a good idea, great. Give it to us. We want to use it. We'll see how we can get some of our people to come and support you. But let's understand the mission that we have right now here in Harlem about people being displaced wholesale. wholesale. You know how many people you know are out now? You heard the statistic? 14% decline from the African American and 11% amongst Hispanic. Let's not get lost and sidetracked. Let us keep focused. You know why they put blinders on a horse? For two reasons. One, because they see that female horse, and to keep his eyes on the goal line. So all he sees is what's in front of him. Let us not get distracted, people, please. See what you can do. How can you roll your sleeves up and help us get to the goal line? Listen, we haven't set anything up for ourselves to get something. Our whole mission is about the community being saved. We're in trouble. Please, let us understand that. Your personal thing is fine, but just tell Kai what you got. Let's see what organization we can help. But let's stick with where we are with our agenda.
That's an appreciation and respect.
Absolutely.
And everybody goes on the table. Amen.
So then we have a student from Columbia who is
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Okay.
Come on, come down.
Oh my God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, for real, yeah.
Senate bill that was pushed out had 1 million hits. 1 million. So this is not just a Harlem community issue. This is an issue that is touching people around the world across this community. So every 2 years, we look at something else. Also, every other month, we intend to have another community meeting such as this to keep growing. Now, we may call another interim meeting before that time, because Columbia, we've been telling Columbia to meet with us. Columbia has said that they will sit down and have dialogue with us. But we want to make sure that before that dialogue, they know that the community is standing with the people who are sitting in the room. That this is not just a person walking into a room by themselves. This is a person walking into a room with 10,000 people behind them. So, just like they shut down the campus and try to keep the students out, at some point, we will want to go to the campus. You cannot go along the campus. You can't stop from standing on the side in front of the campus. You can't stop from standing on the side in front of the campus and call for one out, right? So we will be calling that type of public action. We will do public support. All right? So, my brother, come on up. You have been here for a long time. You just have one question or comment?
No, we're good.
We're good. Also, as Dr. Curtis is coming up, on the sheet that you were given out too, you see some action items. We are calling the city council to call for some public hearings. Someone asked me a question earlier, and since we're back, what about the legal ramifications and how we do legally? We're attacking on all fronts. We get public hearings in city council, the council of the group, council of Salam. That's going to help the cause of keeping it in the public press. If they have relationships with the press, they can get us interviews and other types of things, and let us know. We want to keep this thing out there and keep the press going. Continue. Also, number 7 on that agenda, Kathy Holt, we want her to do some things like send that mixed use housing development, and also to prioritize the waterfronts to give it back to the community. In order for us to move to those steps, we need everybody's support as well. I'll say just a quick word on that. If you go down to the waterfront, where Columbia is currently building, why should that not be accessible to the people in the community? Why should it not be for economic development? We can't just talk about housing and not also talk about economic development and opportunities for businesses as well. Reverend Dr. Curtis.
I just want to remind you that the young people in South Africa said to their parents, what did you do during apartheid? Someone may ask you that when you have children. What did you do in the midst of this crisis? I said, I could do it all on the shoulders of our ancestors. He said his father, I think, should put me right into it. Well, my grandfather was lynched in Texas, and my father died in 71 and he was unable to read or write. Now, I'm not at all the meetings. I'm on founding, but I have cancer. I've had it for the last 6 years. But I want to, if I'm asked, what did I do? I stood up. Let me say something about the church, because you made a bad statement. I say bad in this sense. You didn't know this, but I developed multi-million dollars with low and moderate income housing as head of ACCI. You didn't know that. This church founded the Harlem YMCA. For 3 years, I had the United Negro College Fund and raised money for them here in New York. And for 10 years, I had the Salvation Army and raised money for them. I'm saying you don't know what each church does. We've been feeding people for 30 years or more, right here every week. Not just on Thanksgiving, because one turkey doesn't last a whole year. That's right. So if the church is weak, it's because you're not either not in it, or if you're in it, you're not speaking up about it. So you have a right to go to your pastor anytime and express your concern about what's going on. And I have always had an open door here. So I'm just saying that if it's not doing what you think it should, speak up. And this is your, at this age, certainly you can speak. It's not like when you were on some plantation and didn't have a chance. You can speak up now. And so let's make sure that we all do it. That we speak up and people hear us. Now, I've been saying to this organization, let me be clear, if nobody knows what we're doing with us, it's a secret.
Right.
And I think, and I say it again, I want to go to Albany when they're meeting and let people know who we are and what we stand for. We have to take plaques and signs and everything else. We need to be in Albany. Because if nobody else knows what we're doing, it's a secret. And we need to have our borough president here. He needs to be able to stand up here and say, what have you done? What are you doing? What you will do? Now, he said something in a meeting we had, but and then it just flew away. He needs to see people like you, young people, who are concerned and know that you can vote. And you said, how do we overcome development? Well, it's the vote. One vote. Each of us vote for the same thing and get friends to vote. And if we've had a candidacy night here in the past for governor and every other thing. But what I'm trying to say is if they see a large crowd of people, that's what they go by. They go by numbers. And you can make a difference. Every vote counts. And so you need to make sure that happens. And I just want to leave you one thing. On November 25th through December 10th, there's going to be what they call 16 days of action. And this is sponsored by the Women of the United Nations. It is about gender abuse and particularly focused on women. It can happen in the home, it can happen on the street, and but it is something we want to make sure that women are not abused. Now, it takes in men too, but the real focus is on women. And you need to love yourself enough to not want to be abused. Now, let me say this too. There's a sign out there that says American Association for the Recovery of Missing Children. Ahead. 1.2 million people, it said, nationwide have been affected by human trafficking. I spoke at the UN church about 3 weeks ago. It was videoed in from around the world because it is really a terrible thing. You don't know really how many people are missing. And a lot of children have been taken from the Bronx. And so this is a real issue. But we want you to know on November 25th, they ask you everyone will wear something orange, even if it's just a ribbon. And those two succeeding Wednesdays, they ask you that you wear something black. I believe we're going to do something here. And now, in January, it is Human Trafficking Month. I'll be working with Homeland Security, I hope at that time, but they were teaching you to look for different things. But this is a serious matter. And the sad thing about it is not a kitchen table issue. Until it becomes a kitchen table issue, it pops up and disappears. I've written to the president about having a national day of prayer for missing children. It is too big a problem. And some of them never get home. Some are found dead. Others are sexually abused. And so we even found out they're even using, getting kids for people who can't have kids. They're getting in that market. It is a dangerous market. And it's a big market. It's a big money maker. It involves the lowest to the richest. And so you want to know that. And the final thing about housing. You can hardly believe in this day and time that when they have housing, and with two different doors. One for people who don't pay as much as the other. A poor door. It seems in 2024, that's something difficult to believe, that we still don't recognize the humanity of other people. Why should I go in one door and you go in another door as though you're better than me? High income doesn't make you high class, and low income doesn't make you low class. And so these are some of the things, we should not tolerate things like that. But that still goes on right here in this country. You would hardly believe it, but it goes on. And we shouldn't tolerate it. We shouldn't tolerate it. So I just let you share that with you. We have a fight. It's a real fight. And we need to take it where we can be heard. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're just going to have a brief protest on September 30th.
Stories. Stories. People's stories.
Yeah, we also need, if anyone wants to sign up for interviews, things of that nature, please DM the Instagram page. That's the easiest way to get in touch with us. We'd love to feature you on our IG for any stories about displacement and things like that. So, easiest way to get in touch is DM Fed.Harlem.
Or can we give money?
That would be also given out on Fed.Harlem very shortly.
Mr. Dr. Dugas, who weighed 86,000, he's the only one, so don't give me
I'm really serious about this giving money issue.
You should know that every dollar that is contributed will not go into the pockets of anybody who works for the organization. That's right. Not a dime. Not a dime. So this time I'm going to ask you to please stand up. First of all, thank you for coming. Please give yourselves a round of applause.
Shake somebody's hand next to you you don't know, because we're not going to leave meeting somebody new.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Katrina.
I think you're right.
I work in
that-
politics.
So I kind of work in politics.
I've worked in
But,
politics almost my whole career, so.
Yeah, like the idea that they were going to take down Rebney with like
There's no way.
hopes and dreams and like a little bit of people power
We
is
need a
like
PAC.
that's not how that works. Even a PAC is like, are we going to be able to like outrage what Rebney's going to spend? But
But think about this for a minute. Like honestly, just for this presidential campaign,
yeah,
they're making all they don't for Paris along for $5. Yeah. With in Central Harlem, from 125th Street, from Frederick Douglass, to Fifth Avenue, up to 145th Street, almost 200,000 people.
yeah.
That's just
I mean, listen.
it's not hard.
There's money. There's money. There's money. Like I said, I'm with you. And more with you is just that like I think the plan that we have right now, and like it's just no. So I started today in White Plains at a rally pushing for something like we spent 5 years in the comment board against Cuomo, against Hochul. Like I know who these people are. I know how hard it is. I know that you don't just like, oh, we need this. You don't just take one trip to Albany and like, that's not how this works. And like, yeah. And so what I was thinking when we were talking was like, one of the biggest problems I think just generally is that people don't care about black people, right? Like just bottom line. And that and if you're talking about Harlem, like we're talking about trying to get things done on a state level. It's a state government. It's not like the city, like it's not pressuring the city council person. It doesn't do anything. We need partners in this to be able to pressure open. You can't just do it as one community. And money is a huge part of that. Exactly. But the networking and all these things.
When you start reading when you actually have a lot of but we're not going to leave you alone down there. We're going to set up on your body.
Yeah.
It's about the dollar into going, right? This is about saying that you want one party to vote for you when this election, right?
Hey.
Political power, which is your growing power, in our dollars. That you, the most important thing for politicians, it's never about the bill in front of them. It's always the minute they get into office,
it's just like a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid. You got on something, give you something, you feel the heart, and then throw you back.
Always about the election. And every general I've ever worked with, every president I've ever sat down with, always just leave it. I blame them. Whatever. And so they move. First of all, what say certain average, but I meant was like, I love this idea for Harlem. And one
Yeah, it's cool.
Harlem
It's great.
where everybody's just throwing in $5 a month or whatever. I mean, you know how powerful that is? Just have a political action committee that represents all of Harlem. That is more powerful than the 10,000 people get on a bus.
Also, we're not going to do this.
I know, but my whole point is, but my
Yeah.
point
No,
is,
I'm with you.
my point is, and I'm not saying it as young as you all people. I'm not that old anymore. And, but I just know, like, I've been in politics long enough to know. Historic District Council.
That was reading for
And at the end of the day, it was about, do you have the political will? The political will is not that we don't want to do the things. It is about the power behind it. It is about and a political action plan, which is something that I think grassroots people never think about. But red meat is a political action plan. That thing that
You do. I think it's just more like power to like organize
but red meat, they're lobbies. They call them
No, I know. But I meant like I think
Yeah.
like people do think about political organizing, and I think there's a lot of disorganization within it. And
or that tenant association thing that's supposed to sounds like it's for affordable housing tenants, but actually it's for landlords, right? They're also a lobby.
Yeah, totally.
Like this is my point, but by the way, they all have PACs. They all have PACs for the reason that they're able to get and all the developers to develop and I'm just saying, I would give $25 a month or $100 a month or whatever. No, but it has to be about something more than you just want.
I think that
you know,
I think they want someone to then
they have to pay. That's a lot of work. I mean, they have to
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the issue. That's what I just said.
Probably, yeah.
That's what I just said.
So if they have something that exists, where can we get money back?
Yeah.
If you have something that exists, if one Harlem thing that currently exists, then let's throw some money at it. Take that thing. I'm not, you know.
Yeah. I was like, see, you want to get the
But, okay. Nice to meet you. And I hope to see you again.
I'm around. I'm Brandon.
Brandon Yvonne. Nice to meet you.
All right.
Hello. How's it going? Good. It's great. Oh, no results yet. But there will be. There will be results soon. Did she bring? Oh no, I don't have it. Yeah. So I've seen it. It is. I didn't scan it. She scanned it. I don't have it though, but we will get it back to you. I promise. And there will be a video coming very soon. Kai. I don't know where Kai went, but Kai was here. There's Kai. Kai's right there. Yeah. Yeah, that's Kai. And we will. What's that? Yeah. Okay. Your husband was like around and like, doing a lot.
And he would be like, you know what, you sit down, you don't know what's coming.
So I would say it. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I need to move around a little bit, but I'm gonna have something for you. You're gonna have something. I promise.
Stephanie, great.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Eric Santamara Stenzel. I'm a student journalist up at Columbia Journalism School. Good. How are you? Do you have a moment for a quick interview?
I'll take a few questions.
Sure. So can you spell your name for me, first of all?
Stephanie Edwards,
And how old are you? Every time I ask that question, my professors really want them to age. And what titles do you hold?
I'm a tenant organizer.
Okay.
I'm military. But I'm a tenant organizer. Stand resident. Lived in Washington Heights all my life. Right to success in my own apartment here at State House Apartment. As well as all the drama. So, because of that, because of the drama, I organized a community conversation so that we have a what does it mean? A bit of
Right. So what brought you out here tonight?
So the thing that I'm with is and so this is a big I wanted to do what
To that point, what did you think?
a lot of what we said that it's not a secret, but I like that people are now opening their eyes to the thing that is and I say that but they have been
Can you speak a little bit more to that?
I used to work, I was just I used to work people I would love to say, but they eventually ended up with the but I remember my story.
Oh, I'm not leaving yet. Yeah. Sorry?
Any last thoughts? Anything you want to elaborate more on? Can I get your contact information? All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Yeah.